What is happening, everybody, man? Welcome to the Power Hour. I got stepping in, Mr.
Bring in the lefty.
That's why you keep Jimmy G on the sidelines, right?
In case of an ankle or hurricane.
Right? Yeah. Ankle, hurricane. Yeah, same thing, right? Mm-hmm. So. Cool, man. Well, appreciate you guys tuning in, and we're gonna dive in. As you guys know, we've really condensed these Tuesday sessions down to just rapid fire pace. We're just gonna come at you hot and heavy, and really get into it. So, if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them into the comments. But was just super excited to be able to have Matt jump in with us, and something that's been kind of on my mind. Matt brought it up in a call that we had last week. And, I know it's something he is, just super adamant, super passionate about. And it comes really from the operational side and really running your business like a business. And I was listening, Matt, I'll send it to you, man. Went back and listened to the old Ed Milet, Andy Frisella podcast. And it's the one they did, I think, right at the end of 2021, somewhere in there. And they were just on fire about it, talking about, there's so many cool things out there that a lot of people 2-3 years in the business, they've done a good job of finding those tools, right?
Right.
The ClickFunnels, the gadgets, the things that are hot now, yet they don't understand the principles behind it, and they're doing nothing to build their business. And for you guys tuning in, what Matt and his business partner DJ have been able to do in Pittsburgh, they've really looked at it and built it and run a business. It's not just a practice. It's not a lifestyle. They truly run a business. And, Matt's a wealth of information, a wealth of knowledge, not only from a business owner standpoint, but also from a coaching dynamic. So Matt, let's jump in, man. What are some of the things that agents need to be paying attention to moving forward and really thinking about it from a business perspective?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that we ended up getting into the other day, where all this kind of started with tracking and things like that, is, I think there was a newer agent on the call who was struggling and felt like she was working hard, right? She's putting every hour in she can, had a full-time job. And I think that most people in real estate can correlate with the fact that we feel like we're working hard, right. We're stressed, we've got long days, we've got all these things, but in order to run it like a business, the working hard part needs to be directed towards sales and dollar productive activities. So a lot of people don't even know that they're not working hard. Like I'm putting in the work. Why am I not getting the results? And usually it's because you're not putting the work towards the things that are actually going to make you money. You're spending time on inspection items or fires or title issues or all of these things that if you wait for a problem to come, you will get one, and probably 5 to 10 every day that you can
Sure.
that you can find a problem to solve. But if your activities are not directed to the things that are going to go to the bottom line, then you will always struggle, and you'll always be on the sales roller coaster. So I think, when we started talking about that, and I started really looking at my team, like I know there are people who are working hard, but are we tracking the activities enough and allowing them to see it comparatively to what other people are doing that are succeeding? Are we giving them the data to show, hey, I know you're working hard, but we need to redirect your focus on the things that are going to get you paid at the end of the day, right?
Such a great point. So Matt, when you've got somebody that says, well, man, I gotta make sure it gets to the closing table, right? I got to do these things. Who else is going to do it? Nobody else can. How do you help them kind of work through that mental block, and really understand those activities that truly do matter, to move and continue to grow their business forward?
Yeah. I mean, I literally have this conversation 5 days a week with an agent on our team or in our group. I've got a problem. I've got a fire. I need to, like, it's not a, like, you got to redirect how you look at these things. This is real estate. So in real estate, you are going to have obstacles that you have to overcome in almost every deal. So we need to quit looking at them like problems. These aren't problems. This is the real estate transaction, right? Something's going to get screwed up. Somebody's going to miss something. Something's good. This is like, these aren't, like, if we start looking at it like, all right, these are not problems. These are a way for me to show my expertise and become the expert advisor that my clients wanted. So these, I feel like you need to start looking at them like opportunities. You need to show them that you're knowledgeable on the subject. You have a solution to how to fix it. And, you know, I say it all the time to these guys. They have started repeating it to me. It's either going to close or it's not. Right? Most of the time, 95% of the time, whether you take that call now or in 2 hours is going to have no effect on the outcome whatsoever. And
typically what you
have
find,
any effect on
and
the
you
outcome.
probably know this, Matt, typically what you find, if you let it rest for a couple hours, it sorts itself out in the meantime.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of my favorite tricks, right?
Yeah.
Tim, one of our guys, took over. He's helping with our processing while our assistant's out on maternity leave. And I'm like, dude, there's 8 people on an email chain. Wait 2 hours, come back to it. Usually the problem's already figured out. Somebody else already did the work for you.
Sure.
If you jump in now, you're sucked into that for the next 2 hours.
Well, you're on somebody else's schedule now.
Exactly. You're allowing them to take your time. And I started like getting really, really disciplined with that. And I started like you almost have to take it personally. Like, if you really break down what is important to you, if your family is important to you, and getting home in a decent hour is important to you, and making as much money as you can is important to you, then every time somebody tries to steal your time, you need to take it personally. Like, no, I'm not allowing you to take my time away from me. Like, it's just becoming more efficient and looking at it like a business. You know, like if you're in a sales job, you're a telemarketer. You don't take emails and put out fires. Your job is, you're there 8 hours to call every day, you know, or whatever the job may be.
Sure.
You're there to clock in, punch out. Most of us feel like we're working hard, and we're working 50, 60-hour weeks. But when you really break down how many hours you're spending on things that are moving the needle, it's way less.
Yeah. And I mean, the math equation, when you look at the number of hours you're allocating each week to work, and every week's a little different, it's the rule of thumb is, 70% of your working time is allocated to those high leveraged dollar producing activities within your control to move your business forward. And so it's just a math equation. And this, it's that, hey, just show me your calendar. I can tell you, kind of what's going on. And if we're working those 50 hours and it's a 70% rule of thumb, then 35, if that's the math, right? 35 of those hours better be to lead gen, lead conversion, creating content, talking, having conversations, engaging opportunities, getting face to face with, motivated, potential opportunities that you're qualified to help them solve whatever problem they're trying to solve, negotiating deals, right? If you're, if you're working with buyers, you're showing properties, but 70% of that working time has to be allocated to those activities, or you're not going to get the results you want. But let's bring this back. Let's bring this back to the visibility. Let's bring this back to the power of tracking, of measuring, of seeing kind of those activities in a scoreboard type format. Talk to us a little bit about how critical that is, if you're really wanting to treat this like a business and continue to grow it. Like how critical of a component is that to your business?
I mean, I think when it comes to running a team, and I've done this wrong for many years, right? And probably still do to an extent. If you're not tracking the activities, then you don't really have anything to hold anybody accountable to. So there is no, the less we track, the less the less calls get followed up on because we don't inspect the work. In addition to that, most people don't know that they're not working hard. They feel like they're working hard. They feel like they're putting the time in until it's compared to somebody who's doing 50, 60 transactions a year. And then you look at the numbers comparatively. Okay. Now that's actually what it looks like to do 50, 60 deals a year. Look how many calls look how much activity he's got in Follow Up Boss, or look how many more calls he's got, or look at the call time he's got in Mojo. And until you're able to track that, I think that was one of the other things that we were speaking about on the call the other day is, well, how do you track that stuff? You've got to have a system and technology to do it for you. And you've got to get the buy-in to use the system so that the system does the tracking for you. Because if we've got to enter our numbers in every week,
salespeople just aren't going to do it.
They're just not going to do it.
So what's kind of the tool, the process that you guys use to be able to get the data, the points, the things that we need to look at? Like what system tool have you guys found that not only the one that you might like, but the ones that the agents actually use?
Follow Up Boss, I think for us it's pretty clear when you go on a dashboard and Follow Up Boss who's spending all the time in there, who's putting the work in, and you naturally see the results from that. So we've been looking into Sisu. I know a lot of people use that. It does it provides more of a scoreboard that you can continue to track. Like that's something that we're thinking about, maybe hanging a TV up where it's consistently showing the production. But I mean, I think you could even do that through Follow. The whole, really, when you have a lot of agents, the accountability part is, as much as you want to hold accountability to sales, you really need to the only thing you can hold accountable to is the activity that they're putting in based on the agreements that you've come up with, right? Like, yes, there's, some people convert at a higher level and some people do better. But if I'm running a team and I've got team members, all we want is effort.
Yeah.
Right. We can coach around effort. We can say, well, how many calls are you making? And we can see the activity. Well, why aren't you getting any results? Are you not going for the appointment? Are you not saying the right things? Then we have a coachable moment where we can actually figure out how to help them. If there's no activity, I mean, it's just like, well, what do you want me to do? There's only so much you can do other than just create the lead, give it to them, hand it to them, set up the appointment. Like, it's at some point they've got to take accountability for what the results that they're getting is. And the only way to do that is through tracking it.
100%. Right. And you got to make it visible to them. And I like what you said, being able to compare it to not only kind of a baseline assumptions of what conversions to be to get the desired outcome, right? There's a code and a sequence to everything. And it's a right things, right order. You reverse engineer. How much money do you want to make? Great. Yep. Well, then based upon average sales price, commission structure, agreement split, brokerage split, fees, this is what your average per deal you close. This is how much money you're going to take for every deal. Divide that into whatever you want to make. That's how many units you need to close.
Yep.
And then you look at it and you're like, okay, well, that could be overwhelming. Well, let's break it down into bite-sized chunks. Well, if we know we need to close this, we know 90% of the deals that go into escrow close. We know that you need X number of actual clients that have agreed to do business with you. You have a signed agreement, either a listing agreement, buyer rep agreement to get to the, into contract. Well, then, I need to meet with X number of people and have an actual conversation and articulate my value for them to agree to do business. Well, then I know I need to set X number of appointments because everybody that you set doesn't show. And then you look at, okay, well, how many people do I need to talk to to set those appointments? And then it's like, how many engagements, how many leads do I need? And then you break that down and you're like, okay, are you willing to commit to talking to X number of people per week, per day? Because that's really what it comes down to. Just no matter how all the fancy tools and funnel this, funnel that, all this other shit.
Right.
At the end of the day, you still got to have a conversation.
Yep. And I think a lot of people in today's real estate world are trying to avoid having the conversation. That's where simply working hard. You don't have to be a great marketer. You don't have to have the, million TikTok followers. You don't have to have any of that shit. Literally, you can make a lot of money in real estate right now just by picking up the phone and making the calls. Everybody's got people to call. Everybody's got a database. Everyone has seller lead flow. Everyone's got buyer leads to call. Like, it's not the people, because the people are resold by every different, IDX platform under the sun. I mean, the same lead is getting sold to Zillow's, getting sold to Realtor.com. We're getting through pay-per-click. That's going to a Facebook ad. Like, these are the same people. So at some point, it just comes down to, we need to have more conversations with people on the phone. The text drips and all that. Yeah, it's great. Sometimes some people come from that. I mean,
even Zillow, right?
As much. What's that?
Even Zillow.
Yeah.
Even these tech companies try to automate the whole damn process. Doesn't matter. This is such a large financial investment. Real estate will always come down to a decision of trust.
Yep.
And human behavior. Are you going to trust one of the largest possibly financial transactions of your life to automation? Or are you going to talk to a human being before you move forward?
Right.
I mean, it's human behavior.
Yeah.
And so even with Zillow, talk to agent, click button to talk to somebody.
I mean, we're in the Pittsburgh market. Our housing inventory is 100 years old. You're not automating one of our transactions with the problems that we deal with terracotta sewer lines and foundation issues, like water in the base. Like, you're not automating that in our market. Like, you're just not going to be able to.
We're not going to automate it in any market.
Right. I mean, you could see, with the iBuyer stuff, you could see it with, when you got a 5-year-old subdivision, you can make a pretty good offer on, where that property should be priced. But in a market like this, where there's so many variables, the agent will still always be there.
100%. And you can create fantastic, processes that you run them through, you educate them through the process, you get them to engage. Then when they're ready, you're there, right? But you make it easy because you're educating them along the way in the nurturing process.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
we just had this conversation yesterday on our team meeting. Interest rates are up, right? 6.25% for some people. We just had somebody that their credit score was like 700 and they're pushing 7% right now. So you're no longer just a door opener. Now you're an advisor, right? Mm-hmm. This is our time to shine. This is where we can actually have a consultation with a buyer, express the importance of getting pre-approved, because we need to work with that lender to figure out how to structure your loan so that we can keep your payment where we need it to be. Whether that means we need to structure in 3% seller assist for a loan buy down, or we need to get money back so that you can put a little bit more down to get to a lump sum MI to get rid of mortgage insurance. We need to have the full spectrum available right now, because there are 4, 5, 6 different ways. Should we be looking at 5-year ARM? What's your end goal? How long are you going to be here? You're going to feel like your job is going to relocate you in 3 years? Then why not go a 5-year ARM and save 1%? Like, a lot of real estate people aren't having these conversations, and they haven't been having these conversations over the last 2 years because of the way the market's been. Now it's time to be the advisor again, be the expert. And when you start having these conversations with buyers and they don't know anything you're talking about, they realize they need you. Mm-hmm. Because there are thousands upon thousands of dollars to be left on the table if something's not structured correctly, or it makes a difference between you being able to qualify for something that you want or not.
Yeah. I mean, we did this with CHSA, right? We identified over 118 variables on the listing side alone And we identified almost 90 plus variables on the buy side.
Right.
And so do you want, as a buyer or a seller, how are you going to proactively manage all of that? You're not going to. And that's where, even if you try to go at it alone to sell your home, if you're not able to proactively manage all of those variables, you're probably going to sell middle to the bottom of the market. Right. And same thing on the buy side, right? You could get stuck with tens of thousands of extra expenses and dollars that could be avoided if you understood all of the things that have to be proactively managed in the process. And you can't automate that.
Nope. And that's one of the things that we were stressing to our people on our team is like, now's the time to take advantage, right? Now's the time to be the expert. Now's the time to know your shit. Have the real conversations with sellers about the potential of price reductions, which way rates are good. Like, you need to know your stuff. We've had a lot of pretend real estate agents that could sell a house in 30 seconds over the last 2 years. Now, when it comes down to, we need price reductions, you need to set proper expectations. You need to figure out what the motivation is on selling. You need to figure out motivation behind buying. How long are they going to be? Like, when you actually, like, this is the time where you shine, and you can, by having the right conversations, set yourself apart from the rest of the people that are just like, well, when do you want to see the house? 5 or 5 or 6.
Just
right?
the whole,
like, you're actually having the consultative approach with them. You're setting yourself apart, and you'll get the business.
Yeah. What is the little Warren Buffett saying? Those are getting exposed who's been skinny dipping, right? Tide's going out, and and so it really is critical to understand you're a true expert, you're a true advisor. You need to sharpen that skill set, being able to articulate your value, and you've got to get it to the point. And this is where most people trip up and they miss this, is that buyers and sellers have to believe that you have the best solution to help them accomplish whatever it is they're trying to accomplish. And it goes back to Chris Voss 101, right? It's not Matt's right. That's right. I believe Matt has the best process for me to help me accomplish what I'm wanting to accomplish. And you can educate, you can create content, you can have a lot of videos, you can walk them through a process, nurture, yet it's still going to come down to a conversation, and you're still going to have to re-articulate your value. You're going to have to reconfirm that belief, and you're going to have to do it over and over throughout the entire process. And, where I believe that starts, Matt, is kind of what we were kind of harping on this entire conversation, is you've got to track it. You've got to make it visible, and you really need to make it public, because that's where the exponential growth, and you need to chart it. And, Coach said something the other day about this, is that you need to make sure that when you're charting your activities, that our activities are on an incline. They're on the way up and they're not on the way down. And if they're on the way down, then you need to find somebody like Matt, and you need to get there, and you need to get connected, and you need to get that fixed. You need to get that visibility, and making sure that you're committed to the activities that's going to continue to move your business forward and up.
Right. It's all right there. The business is there. It's the hardest thing in the world to do, but it's just holding yourself accountable to putting in the work and tracking it on a consistent basis.
100%.
You'll almost always get the results.
Yeah. 100%. Awesome, brother. Well, I appreciate you jumping in. A little fast pace. For those of you listening in, make sure you guys get connected with Matt. Follow him everywhere. What's the best way to connect?
Instagram, the Matt Durbin.
Cool.
At the Matt Durbin.
Matt Durbin.
Yep.
Awesome. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, guys. We'll see you guys next time. See ya.